Greetings everybody. Welcome to a short tech lesson on using the Chromebooks or your cell phone to photograph your work. In the sculpture class, it is very important that we have drawing and sculptures recorded so that we may submit it online. And what I have for you today is just a quick tutorial on using the Chromebooks to photograph work and where your pictures go and how you can work with it. I'm also going to give a few pointers on actual photography as far as taking pictures of sculptures and two-dimensional work, because we will be photographing both of those things. All right? So first things first, let's find a camera. Easiest way is just to expand this menu and find the camera. If you can't find it that way, you can always type in camera, and there it is. Bam. So it pops up, and hey, look at that. There you are. And honestly, it's, trying to use the Chromebook as a camera. It's not the easiest thing. It's kind of cumbersome, but obviously, if it's what you got, it's what you got, right? So we tried to find the best possible angle. Notice I am actually on a pretty clean table. When I take a picture of any sculpture or picture, I want to try to make sure that there's nothing in the background, that I'm focused on just the product itself. Okay. With sculpture, it's dimensional. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and snap a few pictures of all the sides. Same thing with a flat sheet of paper. If you point it at the camera, boom, okay, and you snap it, you might get some other stuff around. You might get the image of you, or you might get something else in there, but there are ways to crop it out, and so I'm going to show that to you next. So where are our pictures? Okay. Right here, bottom right is a little circle. If I click on it, whoa, look at all those funny faces. Here are my images. All right. Now, there's a lot of other stuff in there, including my arm, my face, and whatnot. We want to get rid of some of those things. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and go to the little edit icon, specifically this one here, the crop. Okay. And notice how that right away, bam, look at that. Beautiful. It's a nice, clean image. It doesn't have anything in the background to distract you. Bam. And notice that it does have this overwrite original box there. All right, so that's a pretty easy edit. If you really want to experiment, you can resize it, you can change the brightness and all that kind of stuff. Ultimately, our goal is to record our work. Okay, let's go ahead and look at another image. Okay, exit. I'm going to go to the one of my flat drawing. Now this was for a funerary monument. I like seeing your faces, don't get me wrong, but I don't need to, especially if it's a sketchbook work like that. But again, in this particular case, do the best you can. Either way, boom. Yeah, I got a little bit of the item there, but then where are the pictures? All right, for that, you can go to your files. Now, if you don't see it here, you'll probably find it somewhere here, okay? And you're going to see most likely two folders here, My Files and Google Drive. And under My Files is Download, right? And there are all the images that you just took. So most of you probably have a phone with a camera on it, and you probably won't be using that Chromebook too much. But there are a few pointers I want to discuss for taking pictures of 2- and 3-dimensional work. The key to getting a good photograph of a piece of art is lighting and background. Keep those two things in mind. okay? When I take a picture of a sculpture, okay, I usually like to have a clear tabletop. Now, since it is a sculpture, right, you want to try to capture multiple angles, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and snap a few pictures and I'll share them with you, okay? So, a few pointers again, you know, in this room right now I have skylights and the light is coming straight down, which is good, except sometimes it puts the piece of art in a shadow, right? So if you do have an extra light or a table light off to the side, that might be good. Sometimes using a flash works as well, but try to capture the sculpture where you have the background, and you can always crop a bit too, where you have the background that's not interrupting it. Now let's take a picture of the side there. The sculpture, I kind of like getting a bit of the top as well. And I'll also take a few pictures of, maybe not the best way to take a picture. Now with two-dimensional art, again, background is not so big of a deal because we don't want any background for that matter. But what can be a bit tricky with taking pictures of flat work is lighting. Specifically, if you have overhead light. Now, if I take the camera and I put it over the piece of art, we've done this to some degree, there's a good chance that you can catch a shadow on it. So you might want to try to find good lighting to where you're not getting a shadow. That's number one. Number two is perspective. If I take a picture from the back, right? Let's see, I'm wearing a black shirt, that probably wasn't a good idea. If I take a picture at an angle, all of a sudden the perspective of my drawing changes. So in order to get, I'm gonna take a bad one. I'm gonna take a bad picture of a sketchbook from an angle, okay? I'm also gonna take a picture where I have really bad shadow, okay? And then finally, I'm gonna just kind of play around with it. I'm going to change my elevation. I'm going to really try hard to square it up in the viewfinder. One note about sculpture is, well, it's perfectly acceptable to take video of it as well. Same rules apply. Try to find an area where there's not too distracting of a background. So that is kind of a professional development type item that is very helpful. It's also a whole industry in itself of photographing product. So you have a product, you have a sculpture, you have a drawing, that is your product. You want to present it as best as possible. You'll be happy if you take the time to do it well, and I will be happy too. All right, so good luck, practice, and for the sake of this assignment, I want you to take your object, your little artifact that, I don't know, defines you from your childhood, your nostalgic piece that we talked about, and I want you to photograph it. Send me a picture. All right.